Or better yet, an aha moment that led you to the next big chapter in your life? Well, my next guest has had that moment, and it led her to writing a children's book. A children's book with the message, if you have a dream, don't ever give up on it. So please welcome my next guest, local author of The Boy Who Grew a Forest, Sophia Gholz. How are you?
I am well. How are you?
I'm honored to have you in studio because I know how busy your schedule is because you are in the middle of a book launch this week.
Yes, yes, I am. It's been a bit of a whirlwind. I'm still trying to wrap my head around all of it.
That's amazing. So I know me as well as our audience were all wondering what that aha moment was that I talked about in my intro there.
Well, I discovered this story when I was actually watching a documentary. There was a short documentary film about Jadhav Payeng and called The Forest Man. And I was watching it, and it just was one of those subjects that blew me away. I could not ignore it after that. And I had actually been writing children's books for a while, and this was my first foray into nonfiction.
I love it.
Thank you.
So you said it blew you away. Now
Yes.
I think you're going to need to give us a little background. Maybe where you grew up, what your parents did, because I'm thinking that's going to connect the dots for all of us and how it blew you away.
Sure. I grew up in Gainesville, Florida. So my father was a forest ecologist and conservationist, and my mom was a science writer. And I grew up sort of playing in research forests, and my dad worked for UF Forestry Department. And this was something that I was raised with, conservation and forest ecology and the importance of our planet and caring for it. And when I saw Jadhav standing in his forest, it connected.
Yeah.
It connected with me.
It was the next chapter of your life.
So yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
So where did this all start? So you write your first manuscript? Like, walk us through how you took the journey to publication.
It's been a very long one. People are actually often surprised, especially when it comes to picture books. They'll say, oh, there's only, a few hundred words in there. It can't be that hard to write, or
Right.
it could not have taken nearly as long as you say it did. I started writing for children about 7 or 8 years ago, I think it was. And I've written many manuscripts along the way. I've made friends, I've joined critique groups. For many years, I queried agents, literary agents, and got many, many rejections. And it took me a long time to learn the industry, like any other industry, and really learn how to craft a story in the way I needed to.
Right.
Until I finally got my first yes and signed with a literary agent. And then you sign with an agent, and they will take your manuscript, and you'll usually rewrite it again several more times.
Okay.
And then send it out to publishers, and hopefully you'll hear another yes from a publisher.
I would think this is a typical path, though, right, to publishing
It is
a
a
book.
typical.
This is not
This
abnormal.
is not abnormal. No, but it does take quite a while. And this manuscript sold actually a while ago, and then the publisher will find an illustrator for picture books, anyways, to illustrate, and then it takes another year or so for them to come up with the art and then to finalize the book and then to finally get it out there. It's a bit of a process.
No doubt. So you told me before we went on air you had a serendipitous moment, and it has to do with the illustrations of these gorgeous illustrations
Yes.
of this book. So tell us quickly about the serendipitous moment.
I actually had been working, so when you're an author, when you're writing picture books, the publisher pairs you with an illustrator. You don't get to, unless you're an author illustrator, you don't get to choose the illustrator that you work with.
Right.
It all comes through the publisher. And I happen to love Kayla Heron's work. She did a phenomenal job. And we'd been working together for a couple of months on this story when I had another friend say to me, oh, it's so amazing that you're working with Kayla. And I said, well, how do you know Kayla? And she said, well, don't you remember, we actually met her. And it turns out that when we all used to live in New York City, we spent a whole day together.
This
I
is
spent a whole day with
crazy.
Kayla, who doesn't live in New York anymore. I don't live in New York anymore. And our publisher, who's not in New York and didn't know either one of us prior to this, happened to pair us together. So it was one of those crazy small world moments.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
It was meant to be. It's
It felt very serendipitous, I have to say. The publisher is, it was a subject matter that I felt was close to me. The publisher's in Michigan, where my parents were from.
Right.
The illustrator was somebody that I felt like the fates had always tried to push us together, and it didn't work until now.
Right.
It was just one of those things.
It's an
Yeah.
amazing story. So, what do you want children to take away from this book when they read it? Whether it be parents, the children, what do you want to take away from it?
what struck me most about Jeff Payne was he was just one person. He was one person who planted an entire forest.
Right.
It's almost unreal.
Yeah.
And he did it all by himself. And it also, like writing a book or anything else, it didn't happen overnight. It was one of those things that he went out every single day and worked hard and eventually achieved his dream, but also made the world a better place at the same time.
He had a dream.
He had a
didn't
dream.
give up.
And I just want children to know, I want children to see themselves in this and to know that with enough hard work, they can also achieve their dream. But also, and probably more importantly, it really only takes one person to make a really big difference.
No doubt. So you have the book launch this weekend at Barnes & Noble, correct?
Yes.
On Saturday?
Saturday, March 16th.
What
yes,
time?
Between 2 and 4 p.m. So I will be there reading and signing books and answering
Awesome.
questions. And then if you can't make the book launch, Barnes & Noble will still have books, so please
Perfect.
come by and pick up a copy.
Sophia, how can people at home find out more about you? Where can they locate you?
You can find me online on my website. It's sophiagholz.com, and you can find me on social media. I'm on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook.
Thanks so much for coming on. I can't wait to get this home and read it to my children.
Thank
They're
you
gonna
so much
absolutely
for
love it.
having me, Grant. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Thanks.
We'll be right back on the Jacksonville Buzz.
All right.